Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Fox, and today I wanted to show you a couple of simple changes that you can make to your standard assault rifle DPS build for Conflict in Dark Zone that will allow you to very effectively counter healer based teams. So we've all been there before. You come up against a 4-stack in the Dark Zone or Conflict. One of them has the Future Initiative healer set with a Hive and a Chem Launcher. It's very powerful, it can heal an entire team incredibly quickly, and they can be quite difficult to disrupt. A lot of people will run a jammer against them because it can shut down the Hive, but of course that only disrupts for a small period of time, and ultimately they can keep chem launching within literally a couple of seconds. It's not easy to come up against. It's a very powerful and meta set in any PvP arena in the game at the moment. And what I'm proposing is just that you make a couple of tiny changes to your build, literally 2 simple changes, and you will be able to much more effectively counter these healer builds whilst retaining a large portion of the damage that your build does anyway. So we're not talking about some crazy hybrid that's going to be difficult to farm for, a load of different pieces you've got to change around, nothing like that, just a couple of simple swaps, and you'll be able to essentially play as you've always played, but also counter these builds. What we'll do in the usual fashion is, and I will of course include this in the timestamps in the description below, I'll go through the build and the changes that you need to make, including the build that I've got here, which is my standard spotter build. I'll show you exactly how it works, and then of course we'll load into a conflict game so I can demonstrate it. That'll all be timestamped below, and the conflict footage, as always, is unedited. It's raw footage, so you get to see where a build performs well, but also where it performs not so well. I'm a relatively average PvPer, so I don't like to just include montages of all the best bits of a build because I don't feel that accurately reflects how a build performs. It's every build in the game has its weaknesses and the way that it should and should not be played. Before we get into that, I do actually want to thank you all really from the bottom of my heart for the continued support of the channel. We were able to hit 6k subscribers just after Christmas Day. It was Boxing Day for me here in the UK. And considering I only started this channel in the middle of 2020, that's a fantastic achievement. I really didn't expect this level of success, and that's all down to you guys, so thank you very much. If you do genuinely like the content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and of course the notification icon if you do want to be notified of my future videos. I predominantly post build videos for the Division. I like to think they're well researched, as I spend a lot of time testing everything really. So yeah, if you like the sound of that, then just don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I do cover Destiny 2 to a lesser extent as well. So let's start with the build. Now what you see in front of you is my personal standard spotter build. So you can see I've got it equipped here. What this build does is everything that I need it to. So I use the FAL within sync, which is the best weapon to use with a spotter build. You might be using Unbreakable or Obliterate. It doesn't really make a difference what your chest talent is here, but the point is that what you see in front of you is pretty standard. It's pretty meta at the moment. I've got Spotter for the damage buff, I've got Vigilance for an additional damage buff, I've got Technician with a linked laser underbarrel and an in-synced assault rifle, so I get huge amounts of additional damage, plus the ability to spot pulse enemies quite frequently. I'm then running Contractor's Gloves and Fox's Prayer because they're simply best in slot for any DPS build, Fenris for the assault rifle damage, and then Seska and Grippo to bolster my critical hit chance and damage stats, along with the Coyote's Mask. I use the shield to proc in sync, and this is actually tier 2 because we have 1 blue on the build, and we have the +1 skill tier from Technician, as well as the linked laser underbarrel that, as you can see, is equipped on my weapon on that right hand side there. Second skill, a lot of people can change this up. You might see people using Jammer. I personally like to use the Booster Hive, but yeah, that's the one thing you could change on a traditional spotter build. I think the Booster Hive is really good as it completely cleanses all status effects, which for a build this squishy is very powerful. But yeah, that part is less important. So let's have a look at the changes that you can make to essentially play the build in the same way. So the changes that I'm going to propose, you don't need to actually really change your playstyle at all, which is what I like so much about it, nor do you need to farm for loads of different pieces. So if you come up against, you load into a game, or you're in the Dark Zone, you've got your standard build on, you want to counter a healer that you've just realised has loaded into the opposite team in a game of Conflict. Now you can see this exact build here is really no different. I've got Technician still, I've got the in-sync FAL with the linked laser underbarrel, I've still got Spotter, I've still got the Seska, the Grippo, the Fenris, Contractors, Foxes, Coyotes, and I've still got the 1 blue. So there are very minimal changes here. The 2 changes, and these are the only 2 changes that you need to make, are to have Creeping Death on your backpack and an EMP Sticky Bomb. Now I know this may seem like almost too simple a change, and you're thinking, well, this is really worth a video. You've literally just changed 1 talent and 1 skill. But yes, I think it is. And there is a reason for that. So when you come up against a skill-based team, and this build works really well against artillery turrets and status effects as well. This isn't just to counter healers, it is to counter skill builds, but healers can be the most annoying to combat at the moment. The more traditional skill will be to use the pulse. Now I don't have skill haste turned on in here, as you can see it is disabled. So a lot of people will use the EMP jammer, and with good reason. This is a great skill. Even on a skill tier 1, it has a 22 meter radius and its cooldown is 27.3 seconds. So, every half minute or so you can basically wipe out any skill in the arena. What it does not do is disrupt for any noticeable period of time at all. You see there the EMP effect duration is only 3.6 seconds. Now every class in the game has a little bit of hazard built into them via their watch, and you may even have a couple of pieces on your build as well. So this could be more like 1 to 2 seconds, which is nothing at all. Yes, you're going to break the artillery turret. Yes, you're going to break the healer hive or the bleed hive, the stinger hive. But you're not going to disrupt the team for any noticeable period of time, and that means they can just get their shield straight back out again. They can get their healing skills back out. You might have broken the healing hive of the healer, but they've still got their chem launcher almost immediately afterwards. So the purpose of this skill is to have a wide area of effect, yet low effectiveness, disrupt ability. It hits a lot of things, but it doesn't do a very good job. The sticky bomb is the opposite. It is a single target skill. You can see the cooldown is still 27.3 seconds, so it's an identical cooldown. And the similarity between both of these skills is the higher your skill tier, you don't get a cooldown reduction. So you don't need to worry about changing your build to have like yellows in there. You see each tier doesn't increase or reduce the cooldown, it simply increases the radius and the duration of the EMP effect. The difference here is that the duration is 12.3 seconds, so we're talking nearly 4 times the duration of the jammer, which makes sense, right? It's a single target effect, it should do more against that one target, and the EMP obviously, because it hits everything, they don't want it to EMP for the same period of time or it would make the sticky bomb pointless. The other advantage of the sticky bomb is it has a built-in stagger effect, which is why I like to use it even before this build. If you hit somebody with a shield head on, it will not only break any shield in the game, I'm talking a tier 6 bulwark shield with Vanguard proc, it still instantly breaks it because the sticky bomb has a ridiculous amount of EMP damage built in, like huge. It's several times more than the pulse. But yeah, that long duration just means that it can take that person down for a very long period of time, so it's a very powerful skill. By using the combination of the EMP sticky bomb and creeping death, what we're actually able to do is to EMP the healing hive. So if you come up against a team that are sat in a hive, what you need to do, instead of aiming at the player, because this is a little bit slow and clunky, if you're in the middle of fighting and you want to pull this out and like aim it at the right person and then fire it, that's all a time that you could die. Now yes, you can sort of be firing, quickly pop it and carry on firing, and that does work pretty well, but it isn't the most effective way of doing it. What you want to be doing is aiming in the floor where their hive is, because creeping death, as I've recently discovered, does pass from enemy skills as well. So if you've got a whole team of people, they're all inside a big hive radius, what you want to be doing is firing your EMP directly at the hive. Anybody that is within 8 meters of that hive, and bearing in mind even at a tier 6 healer build, the hive radius is usually somewhere from 10 to 12 meters, so that is if they're right on the edge. What it will do is creeping death will pass to everybody within that hive radius within that 8 meters, and that's 8 meters in any direction, so it's from one side of the circle to the other, it's essentially 16 meters. It'll pass to any skills in that area as well, so you could hit a stinger hive, you could hit a healing hive, you could hit a mortar turret, and it will effectively EMP everything else in that radius. So if you can try and hit there we go. So you see I only hit this guy here, but it's passed on to everything else. Now yes, I appreciate that these are only red bars on a normal world, they have no built-in resistance. The only difference is that there will be a 10% hazard resistance for players, so it's not much shorter than this. Look how long this lasts. Imagine you come up against the healer team, you disrupt the hive or a player or anybody that's in the radius and it passes on to everybody else. What you're essentially doing is gaining the benefits of the EMP jammer, obviously not as large a radius, but you're applying an EMP to a much larger radius, but with the crazy duration that comes with the EMP sticky bomb. And the fact that you can just aim this at a healing hive or an artillery turret and pass it on to anybody in range is crazy. You don't need to change any other part of your build at all. You can still use your weapon in the normal way. And the best part is that, you know, the most common skill here is vigilance. So you may be thinking, well, I'm losing 25% weapon damage. Yes, that is true, you will be, but not for very long, because the moment you get hit, which is going to be all the time in a fight, obviously, they're going to try and kill you, you don't even have vigilance anyway. So, you know, once you've been hit, you have no weapon damage. With creeping death, you have no weapon damage. So the end result is actually the same. But of course the advantage is that you've just EMP'd pretty much an entire team within a healing hive. And if they do have a healer, they're all going to be close together anyway, for obvious reasons. This means that your team can push in. They will not be able to use their shields, the proc and sync. They can't use their chem launchers, their stinger hives if they've got status. They can't use their artillery turrets. They can't use their healing hive or their chem launcher, unlike the EMP jammer where they can use the chem launcher straight away. Your team can rush in and just completely wipe out a team, and it works really well. So what I'll do is I'm going to load into a game to show you how this all plays out. Hopefully we do get some form of skill team, and I want to show you exactly how this all works. Just before I do that, to quickly show you the stats on this build so you can see just how powerful it is. 50% crit chance, which is fine as we've got coyotes, and 152.4 crit damage, which is going to be up to 162 with the coyotes proc. So I've still got massive amounts of weapon damage, crit chance and crit damage as well with a combination of the pieces. And this is what I'm saying, you're not really losing anything at all. The only difference is you're losing one backpack talent that was going to give you 25% more damage when you're not being hit, and you're restricting your second skill to the EMP sticky bomb. That's not the end of the world, it still works just like a normal spotter instinct build. Let's load into a game and have a look exactly how this all works.
Reinforcements.
Right, so we've loaded into Georgetown. Now, annoyingly, I've probably tried about 3 or 4 different games, and I can't seem to find a team that's running a healer, which is typical. You know, that they seem to be everywhere at the moment, but the one time I actually want to find one to get some content up for you guys, I'm struggling. So I'll probably just stick with this particular gameplay. We are up against an Eclipse user, and don't forget that the sticky bomb is still very potent if they're grouped up or if they're using shields. So, you know, you can use this pretty much anywhere. So yeah, we'll probably just stick with this gameplay. Where are any of them? Did just hear some footsteps, so let's see where that goes. Oh, we've got one guy still in the spawn, that's never a good start. Let's get the stagger on him. So you see that stagger there, knocked him out of cover. Now he's got no skills to use at all. Now it would have been nice if his whole team were there, admittedly, but it's not the end of the world. So you see I'm still hitting 254k per body shot on a crit, which is obviously crazy. I'm not seeing the status guy yet, so I'm not sure what he's up to. That's kind of who I was hoping to bully this game. So yeah, I'm not really playing the build any differently at all. The only difference is that when they're all grouped up, just fire an EMP into the middle of them. Oh, I missed the shot. But see, again there, I didn't have anybody else shooting into this guy, and even though I'd started by, you know, firing my EMP so I wasn't damaging him, I was still able to easily kill him. And that's what I'm saying, it's a simple change to your build. You'll do exactly the same damage, or very close to the same damage. But you don't have to worry about skill builds. Stagger him. And he's done. And that passed on to his hive as well, so...
Boost online.
Oh, we've even got the boost up here, nice.
The boost is being taken by
So yeah, the
allies.
EMP sticky bomb is so powerful for
boost has been
1v1s, but with
taken
this
by
tiny
allies.
change to your build, it's really good for group play as well, because you can just EMP, like, everything. For example, if there was a sniper here, and he had, or I don't know, anybody here, and he had a defender drone above his head, you would just hit the defender drone. We do now stagger this guy. Oh, he's just gone into there, okay, that's fair enough. Ow. Oh, Oh, look at that. You just melt people. I didn't even proc in sync there. I mean, that is predominantly the foul, don't get me wrong. Let's see how long this lasts on this guy. So he's going to be EMP'd for a pretty substantial amount of time now. And of course, it procs in sync as well. So if your shield is broken. Some more guys getting hurt down here. So like, we know there's a guy behind here. So if I just... Oh no, it's just two hives fighting it out. Okay, I thought that was a guy there. By the way, this is why the FAL is the best AR in the game. The range on this is insane. It's so good. If they're all in their spawn as well, you can even quickly fire it into the spawn and EMP everybody. So that's another effective way. I see you, buddy. That's a shame I didn't stagger him to the right, but he's going to be EMP'd for a period of time now. And all I've got to do is wait 27 seconds for the next one. As a duration lasts a good sort of 10 to 12 seconds depending on their hazard resistance. You know, you don't have a huge amount of downtime compared to the EMP jammer, which has ridiculous amounts of downtime. I'm actually going to push their roof here, get a better angle. I might as well just go and join my teammates. Ah, I missed. Wow, these guys love their skills. How on earth did you get that up there? Honestly, those of you that aren't using the FAL, you need to use it. It is crazy good. Crazy good. So, yeah, that probably didn't demonstrate it as well as I'd liked, but I was really struggling to find a game against the 4-stack, probably because I'm solo queuing, and, you know, you're more likely to find other solo queuers when you're doing so. But I just wanted to demonstrate that you can still literally wreck people with pretty much the same sort of damage. Yes, I know Vigilance would have given me, you know, even faster kills there when they weren't shooting me, but that doesn't always happen. Vigilance is very inconsistent and very powerful talent, but honestly, I feel like you should just make these 2 tiny changes to your build and have it as a separate loadout. And if you do come up against a healer team, use it. If you come up against a very tightly grouped team, use it. Because InSync is the most powerful skill in the game at the moment, the most powerful talent. And if you can remove an entire team's ability to use it for 10 to 12 seconds whilst your team are pushing, that is ridiculously powerful. They've got no shields, no heals, no skills, no InSync proc. They're dead. There's no way they're surviving it. And it works. We finished on 3 kills, 0 deaths and 3 assists with by far the highest damage in the lobby, so again that just highlights the ridiculousness of the FAL and to spotter build in general, and the fact that even though we've made a change, we're still hitting some pretty high damage numbers. So again, I know that probably wasn't the best demonstration, but please do let me know your thoughts in the comments. If any of you are running something similar, I'm curious to hear, and until then I will see you all in the next video. Peace.